Program Manager, ActionAid International de Gambia, opined that the partnership would be consolidated with the new ActionAid International Country Program. She described FLAG as a true partner who are committed to elevate, promote, and protect the rights of women and children in the Gambia. Representing the President of the Supreme Islamic Council, Dr. Omar Jah asserted that before the coming of Islam, women and children faced persecutions of all forms, but he was quick to add that with the advent of Islam, there is a balance in what he referred to as gender philosophy and terminology that the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, brought to all mankind. He further quoted from the Quran saying, "Men are there to protect women and to help them and to sustain them."
That women are either mothers, sisters, wives, and daughters. And in all cases, they need protection because they are fragile. That is the philosophy we received from our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the world departed from that line, and that caused havoc to the universe. The departure of the prophetic philosophy and practice is the thing that has caused the whole universe havoc. If you want to solve the problem, we have to read and understand the letter and the spirit of the Islamic law, practice it, then there will be no problem.
Reverend Mother Priscilla Johnson, the Secretary General of the Gambia Christian Council, said Jesus elevated the status of women during his lifetime, noting that both men and women are created in the image and the likeness of God.
It is rather unfortunate that in the time when Jesus came to this earth, women were marginalized. And we thank God that he indeed elevated the status of women during his lifetime. He recognized the fact that God had brought him into this world through a woman, and he cared for his mother right to the very end of his life, making provision for her after his death on the cross.
The Solicitor General at the Ministry of Justice commended FLAG for what he called a laudable move, describing the domestic and sexual violence bills as comprehensive, noting that women are the most frequent victims of domestic and sexual violence.
Until recently, there were no specific laws that prohibited violence against women. The laws then were interpreted subject to personal law. It was not until 2010 that the Women's Act was enacted, with much support from the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Chief Professor Alhaji Dr. Yaya AJJ Jammeh, and to whom much gratitude is owed for promulgating the Women's Act and strengthening the rights of women in the Gambia.
FLAG, incorporated in 2006 as a political and non-partisan organization comprising female members of legal profession, committed themselves to promoting and protecting the rights of women and children in the Gambia, among a host of other things, for the ultimate purpose of protecting the well-being of women and children against all forms of violence. Abdullah Baji, GRTS News.
Meanwhile, in the area of agriculture and rural poverty, Gambian women are consolidating the gains recorded after the introduction of sustainable farming systems that have yielded positive results. As we hear in this report prepared by the International Food and Agricultural Agency and read in our studios by Ndaikumba Demba, more than 80,000 women benefited from farming on reclaimed land.
Beginning of the rainy season in the Gambia, a time when food stocks are normally low. While men work in more fertile upland areas, the women here farm rice, usually on a productive degraded land. As the first wife of an elderly man, our Jana is the main provider for 6 children, and she said it is the woman who is responsible for feeding their families. But this year she has nothing to worry about. Unlike many others in the country, she is still feeding her family with last year's harvest, and she is also selling the excess. This is due to a very simple technology. A number of dikes and spillways like this have been built here, and they now retain the water that used to flow away, making the land far more productive. They were booked by a government project that reclaims and develops degraded land used for agriculture. Nearby, they are also turning swamplands into farmland. So far, more than 34,000 hectares have been reclaimed. Funded by IFAD, the UN agency tasked with eradicating rural poverty. The aim is to increase the production of food and people's income, and to do this, according to IFAD's country manager, the women must have access to productive land.
The productive land is being utilized by the men. Women don't have any area to farm. So we realize that with simple technology it's possible to support the country to get more land, and then the women can produce rice, because rice is a staple food in the country.
It is not just enough for a woman to have access to arable land. They also need the funds to develop and expand their production. But commercial banks are reluctant to invest in rural areas. So IFAD supports local village savings and credit associations that are run by the farmers themselves. Mama BCC was the first to join this organization, and now there are 2,000 members. After regularly depositing to savings, she became eligible for a loan. With her loan, Mama has doubled the size of her land and has brought a donkey and a cart to help transport her increased yields. Not long ago, Mama battled to grow rice and feed her children. Now she has more than they need. More than 80,000 people like Mama and Awa now benefit from farming on reclaimed land, and there are more women gaining access to productive land and finances. More families would have food all year round.
The Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, has presided over the official laying of the foundation stone of the American International University of West Africa. The milestone event, as Babukar Senghor reports, marks another important landmark in the drive to expand higher education in the Gambia.
National University of West Africa has been operating in the Gambia since 2011, providing specialized programs in medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, nursing, and a wealth of health occupation. The university is laying out the foundation stone for our main campus, set to accommodate the growing health science academy. University President Dr. Sukla emphasized the firm mutual connection between the Gambia and the U.S. while stating that the main objective of the university is to complement government's efforts in its quest to attain quality education.
I would like to begin today by expressing my deepest gratitude to His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh, the President of Republic of the Gambia, for his very kind and continued support to this institution.
Higher Education Minister Dr. Mamadou Tangara lauded the American International University for their foresight and pointed out that the move will immensely accelerate government's efforts to raise the education sector.
This is a historic moment, noting that the American International University is the first international university established in the Gambia and the first private conventional university to begin the construction of a permanent campus on Gambian soil.
Usually intended as a method of communication with future people and to help archaeologists or historians gather information about the past. The first time capsule was laid in 1939 in the USA, and this university is proud that it will be the first institution in the Gambia to instigate this ceremony.
At the climax of the event, Dr. Mamadou Tangara officially presided over the laying of the foundation stone for the multi-million-dollar university project under construction. For Grts News, this is Babukar Senghor.
He is undoubtedly one of the most wanted men in Washington. However, some people believe it may not take a very long time before Snowden is captured and danced to his music. When we come back, find out why critics of the United States meddling in Syria are suggesting the ongoing U.S. drills in the Middle East is a preemptive strategy. We'll be back with more stories. Welcome back. His fate is likely unknown. However, this Sunday afternoon, the man who is linked to the race